Hi, it's Over975 and welcome to Nypsy Does Honor Mode Part 5, which is actually day 3 of my run through Honor Mode. Day 1 was very long, covered 3 episodes. Day 2 was 1 episode, and we're into day 3, and as you can see, my plan to stack up loads of those potions is working. My supply of giant strength potion is getting ludicrous, which will be crucial as I do some of the harder fights, because I'm going to do things out of sequence, which means I'm sometimes going to be taking on fights that I'm low level for. And having a few potions on board, as well as the buff spells that I'm giving my characters, kind of pushes them into that bracket where they're not the right level, but they can certainly cope with the fight. This fight, I don't know why I left this one in. This is one of those annoying fights. I absolutely and utterly make a meal of this fight. It ends up with both the opponents on 2 hit points each, which is the dumbest thing to do. You should really just focus down one character and then focus down the other character. But I try and get smart and take them both out easily, and it just, because Lizelle misses everything, it just backfires. But I'm playing this playthrough pretty good character, a few shady things, but nothing malicious or evil. This is one of those fortunate situations where if you tell the truth, you get into a fight. And I would, when I'm role playing, I would most of the time in this situation, if I'm unaware of what's going on, ask a few questions and tell the truth. I don't know what a true soul is. Well, my character doesn't, so I'm just doing what my character would do in terms of roleplay terms, and that, leads to a fight, so be it. I feel sorry for that NPC. He really got let down with that hairline. I don't know. He doesn't look that old to be having that hairline, which is a bit unfortunate for him. And I was debating, and I was like, I don't want to waste any spells, so I'm just going to, get up on the high ground this little bit up here and just fire some crossbows in. I'm obviously hoping Lizelle and Karlach can take these guys out very quickly, because the amount of damage they do is pretty beefy at this point. But I don't want to be using rages, and I don't want to be using spells, so I end up making a meal of this fight. I probably could have got away with raging, considering most of the rest of the day I'm going to be talking my way out of fights. But, it is what it is. I pushed her away, which I probably shouldn't have bothered doing. I've left her on very low hit points, and then it's her action, and she commands Karlach to halt, which wastes Karlach's next turn. And then Lizelle comes swinging in with a trip attack, which, could have gone better. But that's the way it goes. Sometimes you get lucky and other times you don't. I decided to use my action surge just because I wanted to take him out on 2% of 2 hit points. That fails, so he then gets to throw his acid vial. And all in all, this is gone pear-shaped. So, yeah. Oh, I should have done that to him to get rid of him. But I'm now thinking, one shot in each of them and that'll clear them out. But no, I end up missing, so I take my other shot at her, which then also, does manage to take her out, which leaves Lizelle. Lizelle really lets me down on this fight, but she makes up for it in virtually all the other fights I have in this run through. She becomes one of my most consistent characters, and I should have maybe used Precision Strike to make her hit percentage better. But as you can see, we're making a right meal out of this last hit point. I could have, should have, would have used Precision Strike there, maybe. I don't know. But all in all, it's, I pick up our second parasite specimen. I don't know what I'm going to do with the parasite specimens in this game. I might use some. It's always handy, and especially because Nypsy only has 1 attack, it's handy to make the most of it. Luck of the Far Realms to make a critical when you want to and stuff like that. I know I'm dual wielding crossbows to help out with the number of attacks, but yeah, melee attack wise, I'm going to be using the Polara Luve in this playthrough, so she'll only have 1 melee attack. But to make up for that, being a Law Bard, you have way more proficiencies. When you go up to Law Bard, you can unlock more proficiencies, more expertise, which means that you get a lot more skills, which means you pass a lot more checks, which means you unlock things without having to fight things. So it's all swings and roundabouts in this game. And you also progress your NPC storylines by a mixture of insight and persuasion. And so being able to foreshadow how to admit to being a saloon, to being a Shah already, it progresses things a lot quicker. And it's like, just those sort of having insight, investigation, persuasion, those sort of skills really do help. One of the things with Rock Gnome, which Nypsy is you get double your proficiency on history checks, which helps you unlock some vital clues and information, which helps you then solve things and dig things up more easily. And as you can see, the persuasion checks are just run of the mill for a bard. Bard's always got a massive chance on any persuasion checks. Of course, even with persuasion plus 8 to 11, you are going to fail the odd check, but that's what inspirations are for. Yeah, when you roll a 2, there's nothing much you can do in D&D, but luckily with 4 inspirations instead of the normal 1 you get in the tabletop version, it's quite easy to get rerolls in this game. And to uncover the fact that Shadowheart is Sharon this early on kind of speeds things along. You can progress your NPC storylines by long resting, and also you get opportunities to whittle information out of them early if you've got the right skills. It's one of the advantages of being a bard. You might only have one attack, you might be limited to a spell list that's more utility than pure damage, but you do get, as a lore bard, you get more skills, more expertise, and double magic secrets. And those magic secret spells are going to be a bit of a key to how I go about this. But yeah, also this episode, I'm afraid there isn't much in the way of combat. There's a lot of talking my way out of combat rather than combat, because I'm playing a bard, and that's part of the joy of being a bard, is you can happily talk your way out of combat. Now, in my D&D campaign on Wednesday night, we probably made owlbears extinct in the region that we've been in, because they were, well, we just rolled for so many random encounters, and so many random encounters happened to be owlbears. It became a running joke about how we'd decimated the local owlbear population. But generally, I don't like to kill wildlife. I don't like to kill animals in video games, so being able to talk my way out of this and letting the goblins do the dirty work is better for me than fighting the 2 owlbears that you would have to fight otherwise. Because in auto mode it's 2 owlbears, and also I don't like to take the chance with the cub, because it has glitched out with the 2 owlbears a couple of times where the cub keeps fighting even though the other 2 owlbears are dead, and it's a bit weird. Now, I'm going to disguise myself as a drow for the next bit, and Nypsy does make a pretty good looking drow, so yeah, I'm going to use the drow form for the next bit, because it's the easy way to get past certain goblin moments as you enter the blighted village and the windmill. If you didn't know, this was, it unlocks certain dialogue options as the goblins kind of they think you're in charge because you're a drow, and no one likes to see drows walking around in daylight on the surface. That's just not putting people at ease. There are some bad times to be a drow, and there's some good times to be a drow, and knowing when they are is kind of crucial to some of the roleplay elements. But once in the blighted village, we're going to loot the hell out of it, and then we're going to head up to do the windmill. So again, this is just free XP as a drow. There's no way to fail this dialogue option wise. He's so nervous when you turn up as a drow, there's not much he can do. It's about 4 or 5 occasions that being a drow is really, really useful. And disguise self is just a really useful thing to have. And if you bought the premium version of the game, you get a helmet of disguise self for free, so you might as well make use of it. If you didn't, it's just a really good spell, and you get plenty of scrolls and stuff to be able to do it. But it is really useful changing races to get past dialogue options. And there's also a case to be made. There's certain weapons that occasionally you might want to use where it's worth changing species for. Certain Githyanki ones especially that are really quite potent, and could be worth using if you're willing to disguise yourself as a Githyanki to unlock the Githyanki only parts. Then Then we have more free Shadowheart information, thanks to the shrine. And obviously, like I say, I switched back form to get him down. Yeah, one thing about doing this out of sequence is make sure you meet this little fellow before you go down in the Underdark. Barkus is kind of a crucial character as you go through the game, and quite good fun to have interactions with, and also a very good merchant in Act 2. So make sure you make the most of him. He's a fun little addition to the game, and if you're a gnome, it actually helps your relationship with the other gnomes pretty well. It's helps with those pesky little gnomes and their little terrorist plots with gunpowder. Naughty little gnomes. Now, I do want to pick one fight today, which I'm probably under level for, but positioning will help us out here. Unfortunately for the ogres, I want the headband of intellect for my build, because I want to be able to go wizard and have a decent DC on my saving throws, and that means I need to pick up some intelligence, because Nypsy is not the smartest at this point. Now, this is a tough fight. There's no two ways about it. The ogres are pretty tough. I do normally prefer to persuade the ogres to fight for me, get their horn and have a bit of fun calling them in to fight for me. But if you come through this side entrance, there's limits to the amount of ways they can come at you. Also, use of abilities and spells that stop them, like frightening them and things like that, is very, very useful. And all in all, they are quite damaging. So this, like I say, can be a very tough fight. So I tend to I don't know why I attacked then. I went to move up in frenzy, but yeah, I kind of wasted her turn a bit. But at this point, I'm just more about just getting her in position than doing anything else. Because obviously my mentally ill barbarian is going to take most of the damage. This is the most damaging spell that Shadowheart has, and didn't roll particularly high with it that time. But yeah, we want to get Karlach blessed and all blessed up early, because it's going to help her hit more. And anything to throw an extra dice in there for Lizelle to do more damage, is always good. Now, because there's only two ways up and I'm trying to hold one of them back a little bit, this will happen and you'll end up fighting two of them instead of all three of them. So this way is, I think, probably the best way to go about this fight. This side entrance gives you a lot more flexibility to be able to limit the amount of them that can come at you at one time. See, he's now thinking about going all the way out there on the outside, and their range damage is nowhere near as deadly or as dangerous as their melee damage. So, it is what it is. I do look at doing the throwing, because 75% on the throw, but 96% on the melee attack, and ultimately, because I'm slightly lower level and I haven't really done a lot at this point, I think I'm under leveled for this fight. It's just, it can be quite damaging if you let it be. You need to finish it as quick as possible, and get those heals out from Shadowheart, and let Lizelle do her thing. By adding in trip attack and missing, she's doing me absolutely nothing. I need to get persistent strike on the go for her, and but here he comes now. Yeah, that's a pretty nasty spell, decent amount of damage done, but Lizelle's doing okay in there. Hopefully I can whittle this guy down with a couple of crossbow bolts. That then frees up the others to now mob the next one that comes in to fill the slot. And I've got reasonable armor classes across the board, but nothing too great. No, that's the way it goes. Sometimes you are going to have to take some hits. I don't know why that's. It's now I'm in melee, I shouldn't be looking at throws, but that's me. But I remember this time to try and get Lizelle to trip him before the others attacked, and even with precision attack, she managed to miss, but I'll persevere and do another precision attack and see if we can actually break through on that one. And meanwhile, Karlak's doing Karlak things and just hitting things and going reckless to do so, so that's alright. It's now time to do this, which is the right time to give everyone bless, master heal and thing. That's why you make a life cleric. You get the channel divinity once per short rest, and it's just so huge, especially with the build I'm doing on Shadowheart, which eventually will mean everyone gets blade warded, blessed, temporary hit points all at once in all every time I do that, which is incredibly useful. So I'm going a bit Nova, wasting a lot of my spells here because, like I say, the day's been planned for one big fight. Not planning to do a lot more because I can get a lot of XP by not fighting today. As you've seen, just going into the blighted village, not fighting the goblins, talking my way past the goblins, has netted me a decent amount of XP. There we go. So we're down to one ogre left, and he's tough, but like eventually precision attack would have worked for me, I think. But no, the dice rolls are off today, and she didn't manage it. So ultimately, I don't know. I think the keep frightening him thing is really useful. And there's the thing with the Bard's spell list, it is really good at like useful things, and yeah, I mean I might as well throw the stuff at him because I'm not going to get round the side this turn. I did choose to set him on fire, which sometimes works in my favour, sometimes not. One of the reasons for it was because I've got an axe that I can throw that does extra damage to things that are on fire. Lizelle finally lets me down again with the failure to trip people up. It's just what it is. And then she gets absolutely pummeled for her trouble, which is kind of funny because she kind of deserves it with how much she's let me down. But yeah, we can just keep spamming her to get back up again. It's not a panic. And yeah, as he's really limited in the number of attacks now, and it's just a matter of beating him down. So yeah, just make sure we've got enough health to get around. And I decided to go for Vicious Mockery. It's not very damaging, but disadvantage on his next attack roll will limit him somewhat as to who he can hit. And yeah, in the end, it's all about getting Karlak round the back to be able to throw stuff like this. That's where she's really damaging, and then when he's prone, come in and smack him. That's where she's also quite damaging. That's the point of the Barbarian Thrower. They're very powerful, and they also knock people down, which then leads to synergy. I would say if you're using the Mistress spell list, it's worth remembering that any dexterity save is an automatic fail if they're prone. So things like Catapult are just so brutal against people that are prone, it's ridiculous. Catapult is probably one of the most broken spells in D&D 5e if the person is prone. So in Baldur's Gate 3, it's probably why they left it out. But yeah, there you go. I managed to get the ogres done, which gets me access to the intellect band that I'm going to wear for wizardy purposes. Yeah, if you're going to multi-class into wizard, you want a high intelligence. Now this bit I've cut out, but basically use the barbarian to make the goblin eat poop. I have done a short video on how to do this, so I will link that in the description down below if you want to see what happens when you get a goblin to eat poop by threatening him as an intimidating barbarian. When it comes to intimidation checks and performance checks, tieflings get an innate ability to use Thermonancy, which is a really good spell for that. Then we get our first interaction with the artifact, which is going to obviously progress the storyline. And now I do go into the goblin camp. I probably shouldn't have done. Well, it's worked out okay, but I was a bit concerned that I may have blown it with the owlbear because, yeah, the way I used to do it was you go into the goblin camp the day after you count the owlbear, and then the owlbear cubs in the goblin camp. But this worked out in the end, but I want to go into the goblin camp to unlock traders, to give me more access to traders, and there's a pike that I want to get hold of from him, and yeah, there's a couple of items that he's got that I find useful, so come in here, do that. There's a magic ring that I want to get hold of, and I get that in the weirdest, creepiest way possible, but I do it because well, you'll see. Let me know what you think in the comments down below when you've seen the end of this video. The facial expression Karlach pulls is incredibly weird as she approves of something happening that's incredibly weird and creepy. So yeah, I want that returning pike, basically. The returning pike's just a really useful item, and I'm not even going to use it on my thrower, I'm actually going to use it on my non-thrower. But yeah, it's a good weapon all round. And yeah, so this is getting the Shadowheart build close to where I want her. I've got the gloves of archery, which I'm going to be swapping in and out depending on what I'm up to. My plan is to do an episode at some point to go through the builds and what magic items I've got on each build when they're more completed, when they're more pushed towards the way I want them. At this point, the only one that really gets done early is Shadowheart. Once I get into the Underdark, she completes very quickly. Nypsy is one of those ones that's not going to be that great until later in Act 2. Karlach gets up and running quite quickly, but gets better and better as you go through the game with the thrower one. And Lazelle's Polearm Master is dependent on her getting the Polearm feat, which hasn't happened yet, so that's another one that's a little bit delayed. As to Volo, getting Volo out of here is quite easy. And it kind of fitting that I end up chasing a chicken around because, you know, yeah, trying to persuade chickens to do things is something I spend a lot of time doing at my house. And wrangling chickens and making them return to their cages so I can put them in for the night, that's again something I'm very used to doing. So, yeah, I definitely make the most of my bet for Chase the Chicken. Because I am somewhat of a chicken wrangling specialist in real life, what with the animal rescue and the amount of chickens we have running around my house. And normally though we deal with mostly cockerels who, yeah, I've got 2 cockerels in my room at the moment asleep up on the thing behind me, and I've got to put them away soon because it's nearly 5 AM and they're going to start crowing soon. But at the moment it's still dark and I'll hear the rustle of feathers when he gets up to think about crowing, and that's when I put him to bed. But yeah, so the chicken chasing is kind of fitting for me, and yeah, you only get this if you come here before the owlbear thing resolves itself. If you want the owlbear cub to appear straight away, what you do is you long rest before, after you go to the goblin cave and before you come here, and the owlbear cub will be here and the goblins will have killed the owlbear. But I'm going to save discovering the goblins to kill the owlbear till tomorrow, unlock this bit, and then go from there. And yeah, it's fairly decent money. Now I'm going to leave this episode with a creepy thing happening, and then Karlach approving of it. See what you make of it. It's really weird. Her facial expression is just really funny, and I don't know why she likes Shadowheart, or it's either Shadowheart or Lazelle degrading themselves in this manner makes Karlach very happy. And I don't know why that is, but I do just find it funny. So, yeah, I probably should have done it to Lazelle, given how much she's missed today. She kind of deserved it, but I did Shadowheart this time. I tend to switch around which characters I force to do the unpleasant things. But I'll catch you in the next episode and enjoy this rare interaction.
Statue of Saluna.
Fresh.
As the symbol glows, power courses through you. Authority.
Everyone button up. You better go on, or I'll what?
End him or leave him. But don't you dare grovel to this slug.
Do I need to rip your ear shells off? You heard me. What was that? Thought so. That's more like it.
as you're the pleasant set.
You enjoying that? Disgusting.
Clever.